fake stuff and said a lot of stuff that, a person that you claim that you cool with, you would never say. So that was my big issue with him. I just know, character take you a long way. And I just don't agree with the character, actions that he took.
The problem is Terence Crawford now is really only going to want a fight for big money, and there's only certain fights that can generate that kind of money.
Following the release of the sparring footage, Terence Crawford lashes out at Floyd Mayweather, expressing his disapproval of some of Floyd's behaviors. Crawford makes it apparent that even though he says he is cool with him, he still anticipated more respect. He emphasizes that a fellow champion shouldn't have made such a move and expresses his dissatisfaction and annoyance at how private training times were made public.
I had disliked a lot of things that he was saying, and how he was acting, being that, me, I'm a real individual. I just felt like, we was all cool at one point in time. And, when the Errol Spence fight was getting mentioned and talked about and, signed, I just felt like he just did a lot of fake stuff and said a lot of stuff that, a person that you claim that you cool with, you would never say. So that was my big issue with him. I just know, character take you a long way. And I just don't agree with the character,
The disagreement among boxers on Crawford's next course of action is seen in Eddie Hearn's remark that Terence ought to retire. Hearn acknowledges, on the one hand, that Crawford's legacy endures. He has subdued exceptional fighters, won numerous classes, and put an end to arguments regarding his eligibility as one of the greatest of all time. Like several historical champions, he would preserve his reputation forever by retiring at such a high point. Hearn is aware of the appeal of financial stability, though. Despite the fact that the fights are not legacy-driven, Crawford might fetch record-breaking payouts because boxing is now greatly impacted by Saudi investment and cross-promotional spectacles. The allure of multimillion-dollar events may surpass the integrity of tradition. And Hearn is more aware of this equilibrium than the majority of...
Sorry?
Should Crawford retire?
Do you know what? Someone said the other day, and it's very true, because I actually said it about Usyk. We've got a real tendency, haven't we, to kind of try and retire people off. Do you know what I mean? Like I said with Usyk, I think now he should retire. And everyone's like, why do you want him to retire? It's like, I just think it's a great way to go out. I actually also think that Crawford could move down and win a world title at 160. And that would make him, what, 6 division champ? 5? 35, 40, 47, 54, 6 division champion. But the problem is Terence Crawford now is really only going to want a fight for big money. And there's only certain fights that can generate that kind of money. So Shakur, who was obviously very close to him, seemed to say, so maybe that's it.
According to Floyd Schofield, Terence Crawford ought to take a break now. He believes that Crawford has already achieved all the qualities that make a boxer great. Establishing himself as a pound-for-pound king, taking home titles from many divisions, and outlasting the greatest opponents of his time. Schofield is implying that taking any further chances could be needless, without casting doubt on Crawford's abilities or legacy. He makes the case that Crawford should only face hungry new opponents like Frank Martin or Virgil Ortiz if he fights again. This demonstrates a generational change as newer fighters seek to test Crawford's ability to handle the new wave's aggressiveness. However, there is respect in Sheffield's message. He accepts that Crawford has nothing more to prove and thinks that leaving.
So, I feel like Crawford, he could retire if he wants. I feel like if he does get another fight, I would love to see him in there with Virgil or Jerron. I feel like those are both great fights, but those are fights we just got to see. We just got to see those fights before. I feel like those are the only 2 fights I would entertain.
Not a rematch? Maybe a rematch with Crawford and Canelo?
I feel like it wasn't close enough.
Really?
If it was close, maybe, but it just was like, it wasn't close.
Among boxing fans, this notion continues to spark contentious discussions. Due to their respective representations of total mastery of the sport in their respective times, the idea of a prime Floyd vs a prime Crawford dominates online conversations. Floyd was invincible due to his superior ring IQ and defensive prowess. However, Crawford has been able to destroy every opponent thanks to his versatility and finishing instincts. However, the truth is harsh. Mayweather is past his best fighting years and lacks his previous stamina and reflexes. A showdown in the present day would be more of a spectacle than a real test. And for that reason, the many game angles are emphasized. It's likely that the fantasy of their primes colliding will stay a fantasy.
So yeah, everybody. So this is a good question that the ring put out. So Terence Crawford versus Floyd Mayweather, a fantasy fight that will never happen. Now, this is a really good question. Who will win between these two? Me personally, if this was old Floyd Mayweather, well, I'm going to say pretty boy Floyd. I'm talking about like the younger version of Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather wins. You're talking probably prime Floyd Mayweather versus prime Terence Crawford. You could see Floyd Mayweather beating Terence Crawford, but you're talking about money Floyd versus Terence Crawford. I see Terence Crawford stopping him in the later rounds due to Floyd Mayweather's passive style and Philly shell. I believe he'll melt. Terence Crawford would just break him, I think. People forget what Manny Pacquiao was able to do on Floyd Mayweather, have success with him certain parts of the fight, and people just need to see, Floyd Mayweather's, I would say, fights, later down the years. I think Crawford would just be able to break that defense. I don't know. The thing is about Terence Crawford, he has a very, very awkward style, very awkward foot movement and footwork. This is the thing. A lot of people were thinking, no, nobody beats Floyd. Or if you try to compare somebody else, no, this man will beat Floyd. Floyd would beat everybody. I don't think it's a case of Terence Crawford, everybody. I think Terence Crawford would have been the man to actually beat Floyd. Honestly, for what he did to Canelo Alvarez, he beat a 168 Canelo Alvarez. 168 Canelo Alvarez.
Although significant, statistics and accoutrements do not always define brilliance in a head-to-head sense, as analysts have been cautious to note. Few people can match Floyd's 50-0 record and his ability to remain unbeaten for generations. In contrast, Crawford is uncontested throughout a number of categories, a feat Floyd was never able to accomplish in his day. Because achievements from several eras cannot be directly placed against one another, the comparison becomes complex. Crawford's resume is based on clear, definitive triumphs, but Floyd's is filled with well-known names and impressive pay-per-view figures. According to the analysts, having more accomplishments on paper does not equate to becoming a superior boxer in the ring. Timing, manner, and context all play a role.
Floyd Mayweather versus Terence Crawford is the topic of this video, and someone posted this: number of world champion fighters beaten, Floyd with 23, Terence with only 11. But my response to this is, being more accomplished does not mean you're better than someone. By example, Canelo has 18 former world champions beaten, Terence has 11. So you could argue that Canelo's more accomplished. Meanwhile, Terence just whooped him over the course of 12 rounds over the weekend. We all saw it. Plus, more accomplished fighters lose to lesser accomplished fighters all the time, so that's a bad argument. Let's talk skill for skill. Terence Crawford has knockout power in both hands. He can switch stances. He's not a stationary target. He has good footwork. He knows how to counterpunch. He knows how to fight on the outside and on the inside. He can make it dirty. He knows how to box and he knows how to fight. There's a difference. Guys like Shakur Stevenson, for example, they know how to box. When it comes to actually getting down and dirty, the jury is still out on one Shakur Stevenson, just by example. Terence Crawford, I think, if you look at the names on Floyd's list here, Manny Pacquiao, Canelo, Marcos Maidana, Cotto, and the list goes on and on, I think Terence Crawford has a shot at beating all those guys. I don't think anybody on that list jumps off the page and goes, oh my God, I think he smokes Terence Crawford. You can't say that about anybody on any of these guys' lists and names here. So yeah, that's my take on this, man. Maybe the only guy is Gennady Golovkin. I could see Gennady Golovkin giving Terence a really hard fight, especially at that weight. But remember, Canelo lost to Gennady. Gennady shouldn't even be on this list. He's only on the list because the judges are in Canelo's back pocket. So, that's a whole nother argument. But yeah, that's my take on this, guys. Skill for skill, Terence Crawford might be one of the best of all time, and that's okay. It's okay to accept that, guys. It's fine. Let me know what you think in the comments below, whether you agree or disagree. It doesn't matter. Just join the discussion, subscribe for more, and leave a like if you enjoyed the time spent. Thank you. You are all appreciated.
Because he has personally experienced Mayweather's skill and is aware of what it takes to compete at the greatest level, Zab Judah's remarks are significant. His acknowledgement of Crawford as this era's king highlights how each generation creates its own unique masterpiece. Judah even brought up Canelo Alvarez's earlier suggestion that Crawford would be superior to Floyd, which generated countless discussions among the fans. Crawford's ability to subdue elite opponents throughout divisions demonstrates his combat completeness, according to Judah. Crawford has maintained his strength, timing, and poise throughout every class, in contrast to many boxers who find it difficult to increase in weight. Judah's support seems to be a symbolic handover, recognizing that although Floyd